Hey everybody, welcome to the Reality Forecast Show. My name is Todd Ronan, your host, and I'm joined with my buddy Daniel Lakstins. How
Hey
you feeling,
guys,
Daniel?
great. Everything's going really good.
If my audio messes up, you let me know so the people at home can not have to jumble through that.
And if my audio keeps going really well, I guess we'll probably just won't even know.
I accept the reality where my audio is okay. Let's
Yeah,
bring that in.
let's
Let's
do
bring
that.
that in.
So, oh yeah, I'm Daniel Laxtons. I teach reality creation through Ultimate Reality Surfing, and that's where you can find me at ultimaterealitysurfing.com, or you can find me on TikTok at Ultimate Reality Surfing. And that's Todd.
Here I am over here.
Todd.
I teach reality forecasts and I teach remote viewing. I teach how to open up your own awareness centers and awakening centers and self-healing centers and telepathy centers. And those are courses you can find on realityforecast.com. If you have got a remote viewing project you want me to work on, you could send me a note. I can help you with that. Today, I want to talk about remote viewing and kind of the role of intention and harnessing the power of the mind, how imagination makes us drift from what the target is. A lot of people are out there and have created remote viewing cues that are really inclusive. And what I mean by that is they're not specific and they're not direct when they write a remote viewing cue. And that will hinder the remote viewer, and they're picking up on things in every direction. When you write a cue, you want to carve it out simply. Imagine it like you're carving.
Ronan, but for some of those that don't know what a cue is, what is a cue?
Is it Q? I don't want to have anything to do with you, Q.
Yeah, that's a good question. A remote viewing session starts with a facilitator or the person creating your target. The target and the cue are used interchangeably. The cue is usually a simply, elegantly written, clear, concise directive for the remote viewer. Example, go to the creation of the Taj Mahal and describe the things they use to build it. That's kind of an ambiguous one. You want something more direct, more clear, but that was off the top of my head. So not great.
No,
That's another thing. Write the cue first and look at it 4 or 5 times to see how it sounds. Say it aloud and think, well, there's something wrong with that. It doesn't sound clear and concise. What I just gave you was not clear and concise, so don't use that one. What if I want to know what my next job is going to look like? I could say, have the remote viewer look into the future and tell me what it is that my job is going to be in the next 6 months. That's a terrible cue because it's not written clearly or concisely. The elegant cue for that would be the person's name, optimum career, or optimum vocation, or next optimum vocation, next 6 months. But something that's written clearly, concisely, and doesn't have any ambiguity is what you want to look for in your remote viewing cue target.
That's awesome. And cue, like in England, that's what they call the lines. You lining up as a cue.
That's right. So you want to make sure you're aligned to the target. What are some techniques for aligning the mind and your emotions within the target site? A lot of remote viewers don't teach this, but energy work is really important in remote viewing. Remote viewers don't really think about the energy of their physical body. I've often thought that the bigger your physical body gets, the more disconnected you become from it. And it's important to keep your body well regulated, well oiled, nutrition plays an important part in it too, well nourished. But look at the energy that might be hindering your remote viewing process. So I go through some steps where I draw out the negative energy from your body, and then we fill that in with positive white light healing spaces. And then we begin the session anew. Because if you've got something that's hindering you, like a sore shoulder, a sore back, it's going to play a part in that remote viewing data that comes through in your session.
Even the in law of attraction teachings, especially nowadays, that you didn't hear much about this in the past, but a lot of this pain that you're feeling in your back, or you have a pain in your leg or your neck or what have you, a lot of that pain is just that those are the resistance that you have in certain things you're thinking about, and it causes your muscles to tense because those are different sections of ancestral, maybe family, maybe outside things, but you can actually track down some of the pain that you're having in different parts of your body as things that you're thinking about that you're not happy with, that things are not going that well. And what's happening is it's blocking that energy from shooting through your chakras. And so you're not getting good positive energy flow, which means that it's not resulting in positive outcomes from your remote viewing. But what I love is that you teach how to suck all those negative energies out and then replace them with white light. That's really cool.
It's really important to be able to recognize that energy. And you can perceive that energy when you're in a remote viewing session, but it may come across as a figmentary, imaginative tract. So then you pick up on that, but really you're picking up on that sore shoulder that you never really fully dissipated before your session began. Another thing people don't really think about is meditation pre-remote viewing.
Mm-hmm.
They'll do a little cool down period or warm up period where they take about 5 minutes of introspection and just make sure that their mind is clear and that they're free to accept the data that comes into them as a new information outside of their own body. That's important.
It is. And that's something that really the military couldn't even teach that. They didn't want to, right? Because they couldn't quantify that with the government. So they're trying to get funding, they're paying for this for the government, and they didn't like the metaphysical part of it. They just wanted the program so that way if it worked, we'd have psychic spies.
Yeah, you're right. In fact, the core modality of remote viewing, when it's talking about how your heart feels or what the emotional feeling of a target is, they don't even call that a feeling. They don't even call that an emotion. They break it down to the word aesthetic impact. And so the aesthetic of something is about looking at it in the abstract and not feeling it or emoting with it. In my modality, temporal awareness perception of remote viewing, TAP remote viewing, I teach you how to experience that feeling and that heart-centric emotion. Either it's coming from you or it's coming from other people, but you're experiencing an emotion fully as it's meant to be felt within your heart and not as an abstract aesthetic impact of a feeling. It's breaking it down to a very strange way, I think. But that's what's most commonly taught.
It is. Yeah. And we can see the reason why is the history of how it got to become, I don't want to say mainstream, but at least accepted,
Yeah, they don't want military guys to be touchy-feely and have emotions. It's understandable.
So we're talking about intention and RV. Where else can we go to help people out with this intention?
Setting the intention of having an open state and doing your meditation before and creating a little script for yourself that you read prior to your induction. It's the beginning of that session, and it's going to set the train of thought, and it's going to set the tone of creating and collecting your data. And so I have the little I am script that I go through with people that just sets the intention that you have the ability to move anywhere in space and time. You're able to collect any information that's pertinent to what the cue is, and you're able to collect it without imagination, without distraction, and that you're protected from that information. And having that script that you read either aloud or to yourself, it really amps you up. It's like putting your hand in at a sporting event and 1, 2, 3, go. It's that psych up to start your remote viewing session. That's really important when you're beginning.
Yeah, get those positive energies flowing through you. Yeah.
You can also use affirmations too in your daily routine that are not relevant to the remote viewing session, but just set those up to say to yourself that every day I become better and get more attuned to the signal of remote viewing and when I'm doing it, and I can pick up on information more clearly and concisely without imagination. And you can write those scripts out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just keep them in your wallet or in your purse. Read them to yourself during the day, and just having that reaffirmation that you go through, even if it's you're not doing a remote viewing session, but remote viewing is still with you throughout the day. And that way, when you sit down to begin your session, you're going to have the mindfulness, you're going to have the script, you're going to have those affirmations that you started earlier in the week. And then you're going to have the energy removal and the physical pain removal. And then you can create a great session.
It sounds awesome. Did you want to give a breakdown of, we have two terms you just mentioned there. We have an affirmation, and then we have an intention. So a lot of people do use these even correctly in with each other, but can you give us a breakdown of what the difference between an affirmation and what intention is? Oh, let me just re-say that again, though. Can you give us show the difference between an intention and an affirmation?
So with the affirmation, I just say that's a series of 5. In the 90s, people had their unconscious subliminal affirmation cassettes that they listened to. And those were sort of MetaMask on a different level. They had repetition is important in affirmations. Repetition is important in affirmations. Repetition is important in affirmations. And you have to say that to yourself in order to get the message across. We're pretty dense consciously, literally and figuratively. And you have to say it a lot to sink in.
Mm-hmm.
And the intention setting that you're going through is really in the I am script that you work with before you begin your session. So setting the intention for the session as you sit down to do it is really what's happening when you're doing your session. And then the affirmations are pre-session throughout the day when you're not doing a remote viewing session. Remote viewing, either tap or controlled remote viewing, is going to take you 30 to 40 minutes. And you have to sit down at a piece of paper, blank sheet of paper, 10 to 12 pages, and you go through this template of collecting data in your mind. Before you begin that template, you'd start with the I am script, and that's to psych yourself up. It's setting that intention, and it's not really an affirmation. It's just sort of my intention script for the beginning of the session that I like to go through.
Exactly. So basically, when we have an intention, that means I intend to go down the street or go down to pick up, some groceries. I have you intend to raise your hand. It's something that you're going to do. It's an intention. And so those are very important. A lot of our intentions and affirmations sound similar. We're affirming. You're saying, oh yeah, I'm firming this up. I'm affirming that I am awesome. I am going to succeed. This is going to happen. You're putting that affirmation into it.
Yeah, and those can be revisited, those can be reworked, those can be tweaked. And doing it over 21 days is important, but it doesn't take that long, maybe 21 times or 7 times. I like to teach people that the affirmations are not quite as important as setting the intention, but they're all really gives you, a good avenue to collecting important data when you're doing your session. All right. I thank you very much, Daniel, for asking me about that. It's a cool topic. And if anybody's interested in joining my next remote viewing course, it's called Temporal Awareness Perception. You can look at realityforecast.com and join me there and ask some questions about it. I'm really excited about teaching it. And this next course is going to be supersized. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really anxious to teach people in it. But if you're interested in any other courses or maybe a reading or healing session, let me know. Reach out to me at realityforecast.com. I'm happy to set up a time to chat. Thanks.
That was awesome.
Daniel. Good seeing you again.
Thank you. Good to see you.
I'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye, everybody.